Today's word is stupendous.
You need some encouragement.
We really love listening to you guys.
You need some inspiration.
Love your podcast. Wonderfully inspiring as I think about my marriage.
The Stupendous Marriage Encouragement.
You're listening to the Stupendous Marriage Show.
Hey there, welcome to the Stupendous Marriage Show. I'm Stu Gray.
Hey, I'm Lisa Gray.
This is a show where we answer your emails, and you send them to us on air at stupendousmarriage.com. You can also text us, 615-592-1060. We love hearing from you.
Yes, we do. We have a great email coming up in a couple minutes. But how are you doing today, babe?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here admiring. So Stu has shaved his head for quite some time. I remember when you first did it and your mom happened to come in town right after the first time that you shaved your head completely.
Yeah, I don't know why I did it that way, but I did.
I know. And when she got here, she looked at you and she was like, what's wrong? Like, I think she thought something was like health wrong to why you would shave your head. And I guess maybe in their area, they don't probably see that a whole bunch. But it's very funny. Recently, 2 weeks ago, you decided to kind of take a break from shaving your head. And so we're just watching the process of the hair.
Yes, and it's not much of a process anymore. It's slowed down quite a bit, and it's quite white now and not like the hair was before.
I know. Isn't that so crazy? I mean, that was only, maybe 5 years ago, 7 years ago?
A little bit longer. I think it was like 8 or 9. Wow.
And it looks so different. Not much has really grown. And what is there is very white and
it's like beard
blonde.
Stubble, but all over my head.
Yes, it is. So I like it for the point that I get to rub your head and it's fuzzy.
Yes, I'll be shaving probably after we're done with the show.
I'm serious, but I was hopeful. You know, it was kind of my idea. I was like, hey, babe, why don't you let it grow and see what it does? And
yeah, because I took one day off and they were like, you didn't shave. Why don't you just not shave for a while? See what happens. I'm like,
so
I didn't
funny.
want it to be a habit. I was just taking a couple days off.
Yeah, I think it's neat to do that every once in a while. I think for anybody, maybe not ladies with legs. Keep shaving your legs, ladies. But, I think
unless
it's good
you live
sometimes.
in Europe, ladies don't shave their legs or armpits in Europe, like in that area.
Ew. That's the one word I have for that.
It's a cultural thing.
I know. I have been brainwashed that you've got to shave your armpits and your legs. And so that would just be so weird for me. Whenever I see that or see pictures, I'm like, oh gosh, it's really gross. But I don't know. I think it's kind of fun sometimes to do something different. And I mean, what do you think I should do with my hair?
Your hair's fine. You don't have to do anything at all. Like it just the way it is. I like you just the way you are. Honey. You don't have to do anything different.
Oh, honey, I like you too, even with your stubble and or shaven head.
All right, we've got our email coming up. Here's our email for today. Hey there, recently found your website, quickly became engrossed in your advice and interesting material. I've been married for 14 years. My wife lets me know that I'm not being a supportive husband. She says that I don't give her that emotional support nearly as much as she needs it. For example, she lost one of her jobs and didn't feel that I was there for her. I've been searching for an answer to this dilemma for quite some time, and I'm truly stuck. I don't usually do this, but since you asked for questions, I figured that was a good impetus for me to try to get some solution. Thanks.
That email is truly a testament to the difference that men and women have. We are different, men and women. And then you throw in the fact that our personalities are generally different, right? So one might be an extrovert, one might be an introvert, one might have a different love language than the other one. And it just makes marriage complicated because it sounds like he's wanting to be supportive of his wife. It sounds like his heart's desire is to connect with her and to offer that support, but she's communicating she's not getting it. And it's just so unfortunate because I think a lot of times in marriage, this happens, and 14 years, people just kind of let it go and let it drift and let it coast, and they don't stop and go, wait a minute, this is not what I want for my marriage. I want to figure out how to speak to my spouse in a language they understand. I want to figure out a way to support them in a way that they feel supported. And I love the fact that this gentleman is emailing in saying, hey, I've got a problem and I need help.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things, a lot of dynamics come into play here. I don't have all the answers, but I know for me, one of the things that frustrates you when we're having a conversation and you need support is when I try to fix it.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're a verbal processor. You like to think out loud and you put things together outside of your head. And that's not how I do it. I put things together inside of my head and then I talk about it. You do that the opposite way. Mm-hmm. Not every time, but a lot of times. And so sometimes when I think you want a solution or my support, and when I think support, I go, I can fix it because I'm a boy. And that, not that I'm trying to fix it, but that's where I go. Mm-hmm. You don't need that. You don't necessarily want that. Sometimes, you just want me to listen. You want me to be there and shake my head and say, uh-huh, and yes, and I believe in you, and you rock, and give you a hug, more than fix it for me. Am I right in that? Or am I just making that up?
No, that's very true. And it is so time to time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really do need that comfort and encouragement and that physical touch. Sometimes I need you to help me to get my head out of the clouds, whatever the situation might be. I feel foggy and cloudy about it and I need some clarity. Other times I might need solutions and how do you fix it? And this is what I would do. Mm-hmm. And that makes life really complicated because you're the same way. There are times that we argue. I know of like a dozen times that we've argued and after the fact, we've had the conversation and said, if we'd had this same situation happen last month or last week when I was in a better mood or a different mood, I would have received that so differently and we wouldn't have gotten in a fight.
Right, yeah.
And that's the problem. And then you throw in for women, especially the hormones and our monthly cycles and how we can be super sensitive on Monday and super confident on Tuesday and super sad on Wednesday. And bless you men for trying to figure us out.
Well, and I think on the guy's side of that, I don't know if all of us are as familiar with our feelings as you are.
True.
Because there's a cultural kind of thing where it's like, I'm a guy, I'm fine, I'll push through it, everything's cool. Just push the emotions aside. We can put things in a box and, okay, now I'm working and I'm not thinking about this thing emotionally over here. So a lot of times we're not in touch with emotional things in our own life, and how can we speak to emotions that you have if I don't have connection to my own emotions? And that is a physical thing, and a way that God created us, how we're different, and just in our brains, we don't have as many connections back and forth between the left and right hemispheres. And so when we were created, a lot of those connections were dampened. That's what happens in a male brain. So you as a woman maintain a lot of those connections between the left and right hemisphere. So you're better at multitasking. You're better at feeling emotions. You're better at talking things through. You see ahead many times when I can't see. You're 5 steps ahead when I'm still trying to figure out step number 1. And that is a male-female thing. And it plays with emotions too. So it's like emotionally, you're needing all these things. That's, a trash can, and I can give you a thimble.
That's so good.
And so giving yourself grace a little bit in knowing that you're different than your wife, but also knowing, man, I really need to work on it. But you both need to be aware of it and give each other grace for it. You want to be better in this area, obviously. So you do want to be in touch with your emotions. You do want to figure out what you think and what you like and what you feel, so you can also relate to your wife in that way too.
I think having a productive conversation would be one of the first things you can do. And sit down and just share your heart with her. Say, I love you, I believe in you, and I feel like you feel like I haven't supported you through this situation with your work, and I haven't been supportive in other situations. help me to be supportive. Help me to take what I'm trying to say and trying to show support to you and deliver it in a way that you can receive it. Because I have no doubt that he has probably tried, like you said, to have conversations, to offer solutions. But if he's not speaking in her love language, if he's not talking in a way, literally, it's almost like a different language. It's like she speaks English, he speaks Chinese, and they just don't understand each other. So figuring out a way to go, hey, I love you more than anything else, and I want to figure this out together. Let's come up with a solution. Let's come up with a way that we can communicate in a productive way so that we both are able to have our expectations on some level met.
The reason why I think you're going to be successful at this, I'm talking to the gentleman who wrote to us, and the reason why I think your marriage is going to thrive from this is, one, because you reached out when you had a question, and two, you're being humble. And you're not thinking you have all the answers and that you are absolutely right and you're just going to figure it out. You're looking for answers. You're looking for input. You're looking for help. And that step of humility is a big step. It's like, man, I don't have it figured out. I do need help. I do need somebody else's thoughts and wisdom. And what have you gone through before? And what does this look like in your marriage? And, finding those people around you who can speak into that in a good way. If it's another group of guys, if it's people at church or people at work who you look up to who have good marriages. I mean, you can find wisdom in lots of different places, reading books, obviously listening to podcasts, lots of YouTube videos out there now for better communication and this type of thing. So I think that's why you're going to be successful. You're really going after it and being humble in your search.
And understanding that this is a skill, right? Marriage takes skills. And one of the skills it takes is learning how to communicate with your spouse in a way that they can hear what you have to say. And so it's not something, obviously the Lord made us different on purpose, and so it's like figuring out a way to communicate with your wife and your wife figuring out a way to communicate with you that you guys can be on the same wavelength together. It's going to take time. It's going to take practice because your default is not going to be this, right? So the more times you do it, the better you're going to get at speaking to her in a way that she actually hears what you have to say and understands what your heart is saying. And so understanding that this is a skill, this is something that you will have to work at and learn and strengthen in your marriage, I think allows you to start this process in a way of going, okay, we're not going to fix this in one conversation. This is going to be something that we're going to learn and grow in our marriage of how to do and communicate on a better level.
Yeah, I believe that the journey is the destination. A lot of times you think you're going to get there and everything is going to be fabulous, but actually it is the walking process, the journey that is the place that you need to be in your growth.
We really hope that our comments and thoughts have helped you. If you have a comment or thought on this email, please email us on air@stupendousmarriage.com. Or if you have your own question about what you're going through in your marriage, or maybe someone else is going through in their marriage and you want to know how to encourage them, again, email is on air@stupendousmarriage.com.
We love hearing from you, and we will talk to you next time.
See ya.